Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you are doing well. Welcome to the 9th lecture of your course Training and Development. Today I am going to tell you a story. It is a story about the power of training and how it can impact on the overall business effectiveness. It is a story of excellence. It is a story of extraordinary performance. And it will help you understand how training and learning can have an extraordinary influence on the effectiveness of an organization. आपने बूट कैंप्स के बारे में सुना होगा. डू यू नो व्हाट इज अ बूट कैंप? अगर आप नहीं जानते तो मैं आपको बताती हूँ. यूएस मरीन कॉर्प्स, जो कि आपको पता है कि अमेरिका के मोस्ट एलीट मिलिट्री सर्विस को कहते हैं, उनकी जो ट्रेनिंग होती है, रिक्रूट ट्रेनिंग इन द इनिशियल पीरियड, दैट इज कॉल्ड a US Marine Corps boot camp. That word has come out of that, boot camp. Usually boot camp is a place where new hires or new entrants to an organization, they are given the initial basic orientation training. So in a US Marine Corps boot camp, the training goes on for 12 weeks. Around 3 months, and the most important feature of these boot camps is that people come in with all different sorts of backgrounds, with all different sorts of personalities, with all different sort of cultures, and after getting out of these boot camps, they get shaped up into the same kind of organizational culture, and they become the same kind of people with the same kind of thinking, with the same kind of abilities, with the same kind of communication skills. So ये एक सांचे की तरह बूट कैंप जो है वो रोल प्ले करता है, जिसमें से जो लोग जब उसमें से गुजर के जाते हैं तो वो उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के सांचे में ढल जाते हैं. सिमिलरली आपको पता होगा पीएमए की ट्रेनिंग के बारे में. दैट इज नॉट अ बूट कैंप, दैट इज अ मच लॉन्गर ट्रेनिंग, बट द फिलॉसफी इज द सेम, दैट the military officers, they have to be transformed transformed according to the culture of the military service, according to the requirements of the military service. So boot camp का जो philosophy है वो ये है. Boot camps, why are they organized? They are organized first of all to push the new hires to their maximum limits, to make them perform to the best of their abilities. Every day they are presented with an insurmountable challenge. कोई ऐसा काम उनको करना पड़ता है जो कि almost impossible लगता है, जो कि वो नहीं कर सकते, और जो करने के लिए उनको अपनी सब एबिलिटीज, सब स्ट्रेंथ्स को मोबिलाइज करना पड़ता है, सब स्ट्रेंथ्स को अप्लाई करना पड़ता है, तभी जाके कहीं वो इनसरमाउंटेबल चैलेंज जो है वो दैट कैन बी अचीव्ड. एंड एवरी काइंड ऑफ चैलेंज इज इंटेंस एंड इट इज इंटिमिडेटिंग. उससे डर लगता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन PMA, the military officers, they are required to run for 9 miles in every term. They are supposed to run for 1 mile and then 2 miles and then 9 miles. तो 9 miles के लिए तक run करना, that is pushing yourself to the limits, pushing yourself to the limits of your stamina. But when people are given these intense and intimidating challenges that pushes them to their limits, what happens is that they come out highly confident. उनको भी ये नहीं पता होता कि उनके अंदर इतनी एबिलिटीज हैं, इतना स्ट्रेंथ है, इतना स्टेमिना है कि वो इतना कुछ कर सकते हैं. लेकिन जब उनको ये रियलाइज होता है कि वो ये सब कुछ अचीव कर सकते हैं, तो वो उसमें से बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट होके बाहर निकलते हैं. तो एक चीज तो जो बूट कैंप्स में इंस्टिल की जाती है वो ये कि कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए इंसान के अंदर कि मैं ये कर लूंगा, मुझे ये आता है, ये मेरी एबिलिटी है. So one of the values that is taught in the boot camps is confidence. The second thing that is the main goal of these boot camps is to make people prepared to meet the challenges. So in a military boot camp, जो training होती है वो military officers को war के लिए prepare करती है. And you know how challenging are the requirements of a war. You know, you're facing life and death. So that prepares them to face these challenges. So जब उनकी ट्रेनिंग होती है तो उनको हर तरह की उनकी रैगिंग होती है, उनको पनिशमेंट्स मिलती हैं, उनकी ड्रिल्स होती हैं. They face situations in which they are almost going to die every day. So that makes them prepared for facing that life and death situation all the time. So that is, preparedness is something that is the philosophy or the basic training requirement. And the second thing, which you would probably not be thinking, is the objective of these boot camps. That is bonding. Personal bonds. You know, when people, they face something, they face some crisis together, वो जो bonds बनते हैं, वो bonds कभी नहीं टूटते. तो आपको पता होगा कि जो military officers हैं, उनके जो PMA के friends हैं, वो PMA के friends उनके साथ सारी जिंदगी रहते हैं. तो आप जब भी कोई क्राइसिस और जब भी कोई इंटेंस सिचुएशन इकट्ठे फेस करते हैं, उस सिचुएशन की वजह, उस क्राइसिस की वजह से जो कि आपने इकट्ठे फेस किया होता है, आपके आपस में एक बॉन्ड क्रिएट हो जाता है. सो another objective and very important objective of these boot camps is to create those bonds. So the two things that are created over there is preparedness and bonding. So यही boot camps का जो concept है वो business organizations ने apply अपने ऊपर करने की कोशिश की है. And the boot camps organized by business organizations or corporate world, they are called corporate boot camps. So on these basic principles, on this philosophy of pushing people to their limits in the start of the organizational work life, that is applied to business organizations. And these are called corporate boot camps. So these are orientation programs that run for a specific time period. It may be 3 months or 6 months or 1 month. But the philosophy is that of making people prepared and bonded. But because it is a different situation, another objective of these corporate boot camps is to transfer required knowledge. Required knowledge about how things are done, how work is done in the organization, what are the key resources and how to access them, what are the key personnel policies. So that is one part of, one objective of a corporate boot camp, that people are given the required knowledge of working in the organization. But again, the requirement of these corporate boot camps is to prepare people to face the work life and to make them adjusted to the culture of the organization and to instill the values of the organization. The best type of boot camps, they give the new hires real life business problems, so that when they work on the real life business problems, they are actually able to have a feel of how they will be working in their future life. Then the assignments, they are very intense and challenging. Yet assignments that they are supposed to do in a corporate boot camp, they are compressed in their deadlines. So if you are supposed to do a particular task in 1 month in your normal work life, you will be supposed to do it in 1 week in your corporate boot camp. And from this, what happens is that this is compressed action learning. Action in a compressed environment, and the learning that takes place from that is compressed action learning. You are actually working on real life business problems in a compressed time schedule, in compressed deadlines, and you are learning through that. So that is compressed action learning. That is a principle or philosophy of these corporate boot camps. So I was telling you that I'm going to tell you a story. This is a story about an organization which has combined the philosophy of corporate boot camps and corporate university model together in one place. So their boot camp, the corporate boot camp, is organized in a way of a corporate university, where learning is at the forefront of the strategic direction. So welcome to Trilogy. That is the name of the company which we are going to discuss today. Trilogy is a Texas-based American company with its headquarters in Austin, Texas. This company, Trilogy, they make configuration softwares. Configuration softwares, which means that they make softwares that are customized for the requirements of organizations. So they sell softwares to organizations which are customized according to the needs of the organization. And the boot camp that we are going to discuss is called Trilogy University. Trilogy University is the corporate boot camp of this organization, where new hires are given orientation training for about 12 weeks. Trilogy University was the brainchild of the CEO of Trilogy, Joel Levant, and the Vice President, John Price. So it was a conceptual idea that came from the CEO of the organization. What happens is that this organization, it hires people from all the best universities of America. The Ivy League universities, Yale, Harvard, MIT. So the best students from all over America are hired into this organization. So Trilogy is a configuration software organization. And how they make the sales, how they sell their products to the organizations, is that a salesperson from their organization, it goes to the buyer, and in his or her own laptop, they design the product or the software that is required by the buyer while they are meeting with them, and the software is developed at that particular time. जो भी उनको उसमें requirements चाहिए होती हैं, customization चाहिए होती हैं, जो सेल्स पर्सन है वो कस्टमाइजेशन करके उनको वहीं पे दिखा देता है और वहीं पे वो उनको एक कोड, प्राइस कोड भी दे देता है. सो इट इज अ वेरी स्ट्रीमलाइन प्रोसेस ऑफ selling these softwares. So इसके लिए जो आपके सेल्स पर्सन्स हैं उनको हाईली एक्सपर्ट होने की जरूरत है कि उनको अपने सॉफ्टवेयर्स के बारे में, उनकी कॉन्फ़िगरेशन के बारे में, उनके कस्टमाइजेशन के बारे में सारा कुछ पता हो और ये भी पता हो कि व्हाट इज द प्राइस रेंज फॉर ईच ऑफ देम. ट्रिलॉजी यूनिवर्सिटी को बनाने की मकासद क्या थे, वजह क्या थी? What were the reasons that Trilogy University that came into existence? What happened was that in the late 90s, when this organization was establishing and it was in its growth phase, they were able to get important and major accounts, major buyers, and that led to an exponential growth rate. So they were able to get accounts of HP, of Boeing. So these were big accounts, and that meant a lot of revenues. So their revenues, they grew up to $200 million. And they were expanding exponentially. Their employees base, that was growing on the average of 35% annually. And in the year 2000, they hired 450 new people on the base of an existing 1,000. So when you are hiring new people at this rate, that for every 2 persons, there is 1 new person in the organization, it was realized by the president and CEO of the organization, Lehman, that acculturation of such a huge number of people cannot be done in a natural way. ये मुमकिन नहीं है कि इतने लोग जब नए आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आ रहे हैं तो वो आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के कल्चर में एडजस्ट हो जाएं और मिक्स हो जाएं. Because there is not enough people existing in the organization to create that pressure on the new people that can help them get acculturated to the organizational values and ways of doing things. So it was realized that acculturation and learning of the new hires cannot take place in a natural way. That is why Trilogy University was founded. And the CEO and Vice President, they were the founders of this Trilogy University. So the new hires, they are subjected to a very high pressure 3 months in this Trilogy University. And every day, something happens that makes a difference. Where the difference starts, the first thing that makes Trilogy University different from other boot camps is that the CEO of the organization is present on the first day that these new hires, they come to attend the university. And all the senior managers, the top management of the organization is present there to greet them, to welcome them. And you can just feel that how these people will feel. They will feel so important. They will feel so much of attention that the CEO of the organization is there to greet them and to give them a welcome speech. And one of the trainees, one of the recruits, he talks about his experience and he remembers what the CEO said in his welcome speech, and it had a great impact on how that person felt about Trilogy. He said, "You're going to be the future of Trilogy. The company is relying on you, and everybody is waiting on you." So if the CEO of the organization, it tells you that the company is relying on you people, you, the people who have just been inducted into the organization, and the company is waiting on you to come and make a difference in the organization, that will have a huge impact on how you get motivated to work in the organization. So, the first month, it starts, and people are divided into sections of about 20 people. There is one section leader who is an employee of the organization. That person is an expert of the organization, and that person becomes the section leader of these 20 people. This section leader, he also serves as a mentor for these group of 20 people. And then there are sections and tracks. Sections are the social units of these students, whereas tracks are the subject areas or the functional areas in which these people will go and get activities and assignments from. So they choose tracks and they work on tracks, but they actually live in sections. They are given technical challenges that are closely similar to the real-life business problems. The way they will be designing softwares and the way they will be configuring them for each customer's requirement. So all the assignments, they closely mimic the way they are going to do assignments in the real life. But the difference is that they are dramatically compressed in their time. So what they are supposed to do in 1 month, they will be required to do in 1 week. इसी तरह है, अगर आपको जो ये 45 लेक्चर्स में कोर्स पढ़ाया जा रहा है, रीडिंग मटेरियल दिया जा रहा है, जो कि आपने तकरीबन 4-4.5 महीने में पढ़ना है, वो अगर आपसे कहा जाए कि आपने 2 हफ्ते में पढ़ के एग्जाम देना है, तो फिर आपके लिए ये एक बहुत चैलेंजिंग टास्क बन जाएगा. अभी तो आप लोग आराम आराम से पढ़ रहे हैं, और जब एग्जाम्स आते हैं तो पढ़ लेते हैं, उसके बाद फिर आप रिलैक्स हो जाते हैं. लेकिन अगर आपको कहा जाए कि 2 हफ्ते में करना है, तो फिर आपको परेशानी होगी. तो इसी तरह जो डेडलाइंस हैं वो यहां पर कंप्रेस्ड हैं. एंड देन द असाइनमेंट्स दे बिकम इंक्रीजिंगली चैलेंजिंग. सो दे आर गिवन easier assignments in the start, then they become getting difficult and more difficult with the passage of time. Then they are constantly being evaluated. And comments and grades, they are continuously being upgraded into a database. And they are given continuous evaluation and feedback about how they are performing on these assignments. Assignments that are tough, that are challenging, that are difficult, and that are compressed in their time schedule. So such an intense functional training shows that this is the most important characteristic of this boot camp. It shows that functional training is something that they are learning. Functional training is something that they are becoming expert on. But is it? Is it the actual objective at the back of giving them all these challenging and difficult assignments? But actually, no. What is actually being taught to them is how to push themselves to the limits. What is being taught to them is much different, or the objective is much different than making them functional experts. Here I would like to quote what the Trilogy's vice president, Alan Drummond, said, that if people don't learn Java in TU, I don't care. They're very bright. They can pick up what they need. But if they don't develop nearly unbreakable bonds with fellow TUers, if they don't learn to prioritize and make smart decisions, if they don't leave charged up, then trilogy is a failure. So that means that functional expertise, they don't want them to learn Java. Even if they don't get to learn Java or their functional expertise, they are smart enough to learn that later on. What they want them to do is to make unbreakable bonds. What they want them to do is to make choices, smart decisions. And what they are trying to do through this challenging and intimidating tasks is that they should get energized. They should get charged up. They should realize their potential. So these are the major objectives of giving this rigorous time to them. So these sections in which they are divided, they are grouped, these sections, they stay for life. They stay there throughout the 3 months of their training, but actually they stay there for life, because the bonds that are created in these sections, when these people are living together 24 hours a day, doing things together, communicating together, interacting together, and facing all these challenges together, they become bonded for their whole lives. So when they go and work in Trilogy, they go and work in different departments in Trilogy. There are these networks of people who were bonded at one time, and then they spread around in the whole organization. And that leads to connectivity, that leads to networking, that leads to an integration of the organization. So these sections are basically designed to create bonds between the co-workers, the people who are going to become colleagues later on. They are bonded before they actually become co-workers or colleagues. So that is another objective of this boot camp. And then this in first month, to enhance the bonding, to enhance the connectivity, they are also made to do a very, very interesting exercise. They are asked to talk about the most emotional experience of their life. Now, what does training have to do with your emotional experiences of your life? Obviously, emotional experiences of your life are about relationships, they're about bonds, they're about friends. So emotional experiences तो उनका तो concepts के साथ या academics के साथ कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है. So the most emotional experience of your life may be that one of your friends betrayed you, or one of your friends cheated you, or you got a very bad day from your parents, or all these things. You lost a loved one. So these could be the emotional experiences of your life. And when you're supposed to talk about them, what does that mean? So when people are asked to do that, some of them, they actually say that, oh, well, we're supposed to talk about the stories of our life, and how does that count into our training or learning? But what happens is that when 20 people sit together and they talk about these deep, intense emotional experiences, what happens is that some of them, they laugh, at times they cry, and when they laugh and cry together, they are bonded together. So people, they are becoming bonded, not accidentally in this place, but intentionally. The organization is intentionally bonding them together by giving them such experiences that create unbreakable bonds. So they realize that after going through this experience of talking about their most emotional experiences of life, the people that they shared it with them, they are much more expressive with them, they are much more friendly with them, and they are much more connected with them. And then another important attitude that is taught through these challenging exercises is humility. Humility, what is humility? That is, उर्दू में उसको आजजी बोलते हैं. अब आप कहेंगे, एक तरफ मैं कह रही थी कि कॉन्फिडेंस आता है कि जब आप मुश्किल काम करते हैं, जब आप चैलेंजिंग काम करते हैं, आप अचीव करते हैं, तो आप में कॉन्फिडेंस आता है, आप अपने आप को कुछ समझने लग जाते हैं. तो ये तो कॉन्ट्रडिक्टरी हो गया कि जब आप चैलेंजिंग काम करेंगे तो फिर आप में आजजी कैसे आएगी? Well, the reason is that when you are given all these intimidating, challenging, insurmountable challenges, you will fail in some of them. You won't be able to achieve all of them. Everybody will not be able to achieve all of the challenging tasks. Everybody will fail in some of them. और जब ये बेहतरीन यूनिवर्सिटीज से आए हुए स्टूडेंट्स जो कि ऑलरेडी बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट हैं कि हम बहुत कुछ जानते हैं, हम बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं, अगर ये एरोगेंट बन जाएंगे, अगर इनमें तकब्बुर आ जाएगा, अगर ये ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट हो जाएंगे, then they will fail. So it is important to instill this value of humility in them. So when they fail, when they are not able to achieve some of their challenging tasks, they become humble. They realize that they are constrained. They are limited to some things. They cannot do everything. There are things that cannot be done. So it makes them humble. And then the other values that are developed in these people are obviously risk-taking, it is teamwork, and they're also taught that success means solving customers' problems. They're taught that if they can solve the problems or requirements of the customer, that is success. There is no other way to measure success in this company. If you're solving the problems of your customer, and in this case, who are the customers? These are organizations who require customized softwares. So if you're able to provide these softwares that are customized according to their needs, that satisfy their needs, then that is success. And if you're not able to do that, if you're not able to make those softwares that are required by these organizations, if they don't work, then there is no success. So success is only measured by, what they are taught is that success is only measured by solving customers' problems. In the second month, they are asked to work on a project. Now, this is not a hypothetical project. They are told that whatever they will develop, if that is marketable, if that can carry business, that project will actually turn into a real-life project. That will be materialized into a real-life project. So, 22 years old, on the average, these people, they are 22 years old, and just only 1 month into the organization, and they are given the task of defining the future of this organization. So the CEO, he says that we tell them that in order for the company to survive, they have to come up with a frame-breaking, great new business idea. And they believe it, because I really believe it. The CEO believes that these are not hypothetical projects. He believes that they can be turned into real-life business ideas. And because he believes that, they also believe that. So these people, they are organized in teams of 3 to 5 people. They have to generate an idea. They create a business model for that. It's not just that they generate an idea, a hypothetical idea. They have to show that there is a business model for that as well. Then they build the product, and they also have got to develop the marketing plan for it. So all the aspects of the business of this organization are brought together into this project. And then they are told that if it is possible, if it is something really good, if it is something that really has some potential, their project will be turned into a real-life project. What do they gain out of this? When you are supposed to develop an idea and generate a business model for that, build that product, and then you are supposed to develop the marketing plan for that as well. All these things, when you are supposed to do it in 1 month, what they learn is that they are able to set deep priorities of what they're supposed to do. So whether I'm going to watch that film on the weekend or I'm going to work on my project, you can prioritize that no, that film on that weekend is not important. I've got to get this work done. Then they are also made to evaluate probabilities and measure results. When they build a product, they see how it works, and they are also able to measure probabilities, whether it will work, whether there is a business model for it, whether it will get marketed, whether people will accept it. They learn to evaluate these probabilities. But the most important thing that they gain out of it is the attention and the way it can make them work. They feel noticed, they feel important, and so they come up with brilliant new ideas for the company. 15% of these projects, they actually turn into real-life business ideas. This trilogy camp is organized twice a year. And twice a year, if so many projects, new business ideas are being developed in your organization will never run out of innovation. And then this exercise, it also reinforces that value of humility. How? Because only 15% of the projects, they get passed. They actually turn into real-life business projects. Whereas all the people, 100% of the people, they work thinking as if they would turn into real-life business ideas. They believed in that. And only 15% of them, they get that achievement. So 85% of these trainees, in them this value of humility is reinforced. That yes, we can fail as well. We are the best, but we can fail. So the CEO says that we never want this feeling to end, this feeling of humility. We never want this feeling to end. Because the moment you become arrogant, someone will come and beat you. जिस दिन आप में तकब्बुर आ जाएगा, जिस दिन आप ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट हो जाएंगे, उस दिन कोई आपको आके गिरा देगा. In the third month, after completing the project, the third month is given to finding their place in the organization. They just don't graduate. They are supposed to find a sponsor in the organization. So some of the students, 15%, they work on their second month project because that was selected and that would be turned into a real life project. But all the rest of them, they work on graduation projects. Graduation projects are assignments that are located within the organization. And during that 1 month, they are supposed to find a sponsor for them. A sponsor is a manager who believes that this person is smart, that this person has some abilities, and this person will be beneficial for serving a particular position in the organization. So until they don't find the sponsor, they don't graduate. But it's rare that a TUer is unable to find a place in the organization. Most of these people, they do find places in the organization, but again, some of them don't. In these 3 months, Trilogy University excels in giving them the basic training. It prepares them in all sorts of aspects. It prepares them in their skills. It prepares them in the values that the organization requires. And it prepares them in their relationships. So it excels in the basics of the basic training. But it goes much beyond the basic training. And that is what sets them apart. They achieve much more than the basic training. What do they achieve? How do they excel? The first thing is that Trilogy University has become the company's primary research and development engine. When so many projects, they turn into real-life business ideas twice a year, this place becomes the primary research and development engine for the organization. A major part of research and development comes from this place for this organization. The second thing that they excel in is that it has become the setting for Trilogy's leadership development. Now, how does it become the setting for Trilogy's leadership development? I told you that section leaders are experts in their areas. They are experienced people from the organization. What I didn't tell you was that they are the best lot of the organization. They are the star performers of the organization. So the section leaders who come to guide and mentor these TUers, they are the star performers of the organization. These are the promising leaders of the organization. And they do all those activities of leadership that is required to build the leadership skills in somebody. What do? They are inspiring these people. They are constantly monitoring talent. They are giving evaluation. And they are also communicating vision and strategy to these people. So all these things are the functions of leadership. And they are doing it right under the eye of the CEO. And while they are doing this under the eye of the CEO, they are constantly in touch with the CEO as well. Because the CEO, he spends all these 3 months in this place, in these activities. They are constantly interacting with that person. And they get to know his strategic direction. They get to know what new ideas does he have in his mind. So they become the future leaders. Trilogy is the setting ground for developing the future leaders of this organization. Whereas in other organizations, orientation experts or orientation programs are being run by employees. They are run by employees who the company can most easily spare. कि इनको ओरिएंटेशन पे भेज दें क्योंकि इनका यहाँ कंपनी में कोई इतना ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट नहीं है, कोई इनकी जरूरत नहीं है, तो इनको ओरिएंटेशन कराने के लिए भेज दें. That is the common norm in other organizations. Whereas in this organization, they use this activity and utilize it so effectively that it gives them the future leaders of the organization. Another thing that goes beyond the objectives of an orientation program is that it provides a great context and impetus for management to revisit and communicate strategic direction. So in this place, where the CEO is present, where the star performers of the organization are present, and where all this new and fresh talent is present, and they are highly charged and performing challenging activities, at this place, where new business ideas are coming up, this is a place where the strategic direction of the organization is set for the future. At this place, they are able to identify the requirements of the marketplace. They are able to identify the weaknesses in their own strategic direction. And they are able to identify the possibilities and opportunities that can be transformed into business ideas. So this place, it sets the strategic direction of the organization. And finally, what they do beyond an orientation program, it serves as a constant source of organizational renewal and transformation. So in this place, the organizational members, the CEO, the top management, the star performers, they come to work with fresh blood, with fresh lot of people who have all these new business ideas, who have all this fresh energy in them, who are different from the organization. So rather than acculturating them and making them exact copies of the organizational culture, what Trilogy learns from them is that it transforms and it is constantly renewed. They get and learn as much as from these people as they make them learn about Trilogy. So the organization, because there is constant interaction between the players, the key players of the organization, and the fresh talent of this organization, the cycle keeps on going on. They are constantly in a process of renewal, in a process of transformation. So this is what Trilogy is able to achieve beyond an orientation program, beyond the objectives of an orientation program. They are able to achieve all these things of being the primary research engine, of developing the leadership, of setting the direction, and of being a force of transformation and renewal. So you can see that a learning activity, a training program, can have such an impact on an organization. It can renew an organization and give it new direction if it is organized in an effective way, if there is commitment from the top management, if the organization really believes in learning and really believes that learning should be the most important function of an organization. I hope you would have found this story interesting. फिर मिलेंगे अगली दफा नई स्टोरी के साथ. Until next time, Allah Hafiz.